Alright. Another newer author for us. They have a bunch of works. This is the first one we get to see of this. Dr. Bleep. Dr. Bleep. Okay then. You wrote Tissue Dome. A tissue dome, you say? Oh boy, this looks like a longer one. Okay, here we go. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures SCP-2378 is to be contained in an outdoor enclosure with a 5 km radius between the structure and the edge of the containment enclosure. The enclosure area to be designated a non-fly zone. Containment barriers. Okay, I need to clean out my. Containment barriers should be constructed of durable metal coated in Teflon polymer. CCTV monitoring cameras are to be implanted in concealed location along the fence lines or at intervals of 50 meters. Civilians attempting to successfully entering the containment enclosure are to be apprehended and administered Class A amnestic as required. Satellite imagery should be modified such as that SCP-2378 resembles weathered rock layers. Exploration and research team entering SCP-2378 must have at least BSL-2 safety training. Individuals entering A regions are not to have consumed more than 36 mg of glucose for at least 3 hours. Physical contact with -1 instances should be avoided, especially if entering -B or -C regions. Exploration of -B or -C regions require BSL-3 and 4 safety protocols, respectively, and use of appropriate liquid immersion equipment. Physical interaction with -4 should be avoided by personnel at all costs. Entry into -D is restricted to aerial corrosion-proof drones. Imitation of the interior elements of SCP-2378 should be avoided. In the event of Class 1 events, research and exploration crews within -A regions are instructed to secure themselves to a tunnel or cave-in walls via provided equipment. Personnel in B or C regions are instructed to evacuate to A regions immediately. If SCP-2378 enters a Class 2 event, all personnel are to be evacuated and the surrounding area placed under lockdown. At the end of every designated 8 months period, personnel are to be barred from entering SCP-2378 until the transition point has elapsed. Genomic analysis is to take place following this transition, at which time the new link is to be identified and tracked for observation. Use of -1 instances have been approved for testing within SCP-2378 on a case-by-case basis. Description: SCP-2378 is a large domed structure located 15 kilometers from Site 234 in Alabama. SCP-2378 is circular at its base with a diameter of 3 kilometers and a maximum height of 200 meters. The structure's exterior is gray in pigmentation and composed of a large interlocking amorphous structures morphologically similar to human epidermis tissue, which resemble weathered limestone from a distance. Between these structures are holes 5 to 10 centimeters in diameter, from which 0.5 meter long keratin fibers ranging from dark blue to black in pigment protrude. All attempts to drill or cut portions of the exterior have failed, inducing small seismic events. All components of SCP-2378 defy normal biophysical evolution to some degree, notably the gravity-defying flow of nutrient processing in the upwards direction and violation of biological principles derived from the square-cube law. All interiors and exterior structures component of SCP-2378 are composed of cells, tissues, and organs similar to those of human origin at approximately 10,000 times the normal size. These components correspond genetically to a single real-life individual and often display physiological signs congruent with the current health of said individual. Linked individuals appear to be spatially connected to SCP-2378 in some unknown manner. However, individuals remain unaware of said spatial connection throughout its duration. After 8 months, SCP-2378 undergoes a transition period where it becomes linked to a new individual. How and why an individual becomes linked to the dome is poorly understood. Despite genetic screening and close observation, linked individuals share only a few key similarities, the most prominent involving some sort of extreme physical trauma. At this point, the interior layout and physiological condition within SCP-2378 are altered, rendering previous navigational charting useless. Anyone within the structure during a transition period may experience relocation to a non-navigable. What?
Navigable.
Non-navigable tissues, or outright dematerialization. Newly linked individuals are tracked and observed by Foundation undercover operators for anomalous activity. Please see Observation Log 12 for a list of notable linked individuals. SCP-2378 has 2 openings at ground level, each 5 meters wide, oriented due north and due south. Caverns directly attached to the opening are sloped downhill, and once every 3 months, the openings will contract and a brown viscous fluids will wash out into the forest floor before promptly dematerializing. These openings, as far as the current exploration and research efforts have determined, are not directly connected and in fact may be mirror images of each other. From these openings, 4 definitive geographical and anatomical regions have been explored and described. These regions -A, B, and C and D are described below. Show information on -A. Oh boy, yeah, this is gonna probably be the longest one. -A are a collection of intertwining caverns and tunnels, 50 to 70 kilometers in length and 100 meters to 1 kilometer in width. Tunnels descend at a shallow gradient, possibly even stretching beyond the 3-kilometer radius of the surface structure, and regions are analogous in structure and composition to the human small and large intestines and can be visibly segmented into 3 distinct regions. Segment 1 is composed of large muscular cells similar in structure and functions to human sarcomeres or sarcomeres. Every 3 months, these cells contract, allowing a large amounts of fluid to seep from the floor. Segment 2 is 1 to 5 kilometers in length, with the floors, walls, and ceilings being composed of large porous mucosal membranes. Humidity and ground moisture increase the further one progresses into the segment. Large protein structures termed -1 analogous in structure composition to human antibodies may be encountered at this point. Effector molecules for adaptive extracellular immune responses which bind specific structure motifs, more specifically IgA, which is produced as diamond blocks attachment to mucosal cell receptors by pathogens. Structure and size and amino acid composition of said structure may vary based on the current link. Physical contact should be avoided. Segment 3 regions are 5 to 60 kilometers in length. Surface are most mucosal membranes composed of thick bulbous structures analogous to villi and microvilli villi in human small intestines and are susceptible to irritation. These segment contains large pools, lakes, and even rivers of liquid bile salts, as well as rock formation composed of important bioorganic nutrients. A number of anomalous organisms considered separate and distinct from the structure occupy these environments as detailed below. And here we have a picture that says interior -A segment 3 during initial exploration. Cool. Caves are very fascinating. They just look really fascinating all the time. Alright. SCP Clostridium difficile 40 to 100 centimeters times 40 times 100 centimeters, which buds endospores in a manner similar to yeast. SCP Faecalibacterium brausnitzii 30 by 50 centimeters, which produces ethyl alcohol, a number of previously artificially produced fatty acids and lipids, and lisdexamfetamine from normal dietary fibers. SCP members of the rotavirus family, 20 centimeters in diameter, which flow through the air and seem to exhibit Brownian motion. Researchers should avoid periods of high densities. SCP T. bacteriophages 30 centimeters in height, specific to Escherichia coli. Manifestation exhibits behavior similar to that of Canis familiaris. SCP-2946, a large-scale manifestation of Escherichia coli, and SCP, a large-scale manifestation of any member of the Taenia genus. Each of these organisms is capable of sensing large concentration of sugar, even in a human host, and will engage in aggressive predatory behaviors to secure these sources. -A is the most variable of the 4 currently explored anatomical regions. During transition periods, entire segments of A regions may disappear or appear. The slopes, floor composition, and intersection points along its length may shift based on a large number of poorly understood factors. In some cases, new, previously unidentified tissues may attach close to the lateral end of A. All exploration forays into these regions have been met with conditions requiring at least BSL-3 equipment and were subsequently scrapped in favor of further exploring existing structures. A portion of A close to the entrance of the tunnels are usually used as staging points for exploration in B and C regions, based primarily on the rigidity of the walls and proximity of an escape route. -A is connected to B and C regions via intersections along its length, and connected to the D region via a single opening at its lateral end. Now we have -B. Okay, not as long. -B are thick, wall-branching, 5-meter wide tunnels, analogous to human blood vessels. Tunnels are filled with either a viscous maroon or amber-colored fluid, compositionally similar to human plasma. Fluid flows along a pulse-generated current, with pulses taking place every 10 minutes. The source of this current has yet to be located. In regions of intersection, the walls of these tunnels are more porous, allowing nutrients and oxygen to flow in and out. In non-intersecting sections of -B, surfaces are lined with tightly interlocked sheaths of cells and may be anywhere from 50 centimeters to 10 meters thick. B regions interact closely with both A and C regions, transporting freshly broken down nutrients from A to other anatomical regions while carrying antigens and foreign material to C interfaces for processing. Dry interior of -B following tunnel blockage during a Class 2 event. Several sub-entities occupy -B, including 1, 2, 3, and 4 instances. These often travel back and forth to C regions. -B tunnels contain high frequencies of -1 instances analogous to the varying isoforms of IgG and IgM antibodies. -2 are large donut-shaped cell structures lacking a nucleus with high concentration of hemoglobin. -2 instances are completely harmless and serve as transport vessels for nutrients and oxygens. -3 are a group of entities which resemble human immune cells, 1.2 to 3 meters in diameter, from both the innate and adaptive immune responses, which occupy both B and C regions. Physical contact with these entities should be minimized, as it will initiate non-specific aggressive responses. -3 innate immune cell instances possess a series of toll receptors found to bind certain anatomical features of humans. Therefore, avoiding contact with these cells and wearing equipment which shields or alters the shapes is important. Physical contact with -3 instances while bound by a -1 instance should be avoided due to the high probability of a class 2 event. See exploration log E3. A large physical gap should be maintained between personnel and -4 instances. Physical interaction should not occur under any circumstances. See addendum 2 and exploration log E4. B regions are also occupied by a number of anomalous organisms and cells which are considered separate from the structure itself. These entities are detailed briefly below. SCP Schistosoma mansoni, 2 meters in length. A human blood fluid normally acquired from water contaminated by giant snails. Often attracts -3 instances and causes severe damage to walls in B regions. SCP Mycobacterium leprae, 10 times 20 centimeters, found inside of -3 instances, clustered together, pink in pigmentation. SCP, a previously undescribed member of the Filoviridae family of filamentous hemorrhagic fever virus, 2 meters times 10 millimeters. Now -C, show information on -C. -C are a series of branching 5-meter wide tunnels connected to a large ovoid caverns analogous to the human lymph system, averaging roughly 300 meters in height and 200 meters in width. Tunnel surfaces are lined with loosely interlocked cells similar to intersecting areas of B regions, and are filled with either clear, white, or yellow pigmented fluid depending on the orientation and proximity of the nearest ovoid chamber. The caverns are occupied by a large number of densely packed -3 instances. C regions serve as an interchange, allowing passage of -3 instances into the other geographical regions, as well as filtering of foreign substances into the tunnels for antigen processing. Large concentration of adaptive immune instances analogous to the variety of T cells and B cells make traversing to the tunnels and especially the caverns particularly perilous. Dry interior of -C following tunnel blockage during a class 2 event, and that's the picture. And now we have footnotes saying -3 adaptive immune instances may bind surfaces that special altering equipment may prevent innate instances from binding, resulting in aggressive and fatal action. Any specific receptors binding by a T or B cell instance may initiate a severe irritation event. Thus, physical contact should be kept minimal, if possible, due to the high variability between linked individuals' immune systems. It is recommended that exploration requests be subject to immunization and generic reviews of the current link. In addition to -3 instances, like other sections of SB2378, C regions have a number of separate anomalous organisms. These anomalous organisms have often directly infect, attack, or are directly attacked by -3 instances due to the presence of foreign antigens. Okay. SCP a macrophage 3 meters in diameter, possessing a long scale tail, exhibits behavior similar to that of most small lizards. SCP-B lymphocytes 1 meter in diameter, bearing both B and T cell receptors, exhibits behavior similar to that of Felis catus. SCP various T lymphocytes 1 to 2 meters in diameter, exhibiting auditory calls matching those of both Taurus and engaging in behavioral patterns typical of members of Artiodactyla. SCP Yersinia pestis 15 times 40 centimeters, which redacted. And now the last one. There's still more. Oh, this one has no picture this time. Wait, hold on a minute. Okay. -3 are two single 1 kilometer wide and 3 kilometer high caverns connected to each respective A region by a 3 meter wide valve sphincter and a single 3 meter wide sphincter at the top of the cavern. D regions are morphologically similar to the human stomach. Caverns are lined by thick mucosal layers with a large number of hydrochloric acid pumps. The sphincter attached to A opens briefly for 10 minutes at intervals of 30 minutes at intervals of 30 minutes. When it opens, a mixture of highly concentrated hydrochloric acid and large partially dissolved manifestation of various foods, depending on the current link, will flood into -A. The sphincter at the top of the caverns has to date shown no discernible opening pattern. When it does open, allows the passage of the previously mentioned food items or liquid. All food and liquid items which enter D regions will respond to items consumed by linked individuals as no times of observation. Acidity and mucosal integrity vary from link to link. In some cases, may cause severe irritation events. Each -D is located roughly 30 kilometers below the surface structure. Due to the highly corrosive nature of both D regions, human travel is neither feasible nor possible. Thus, a corrosion-resistant remote-controlled vehicle is required for exploration. To date, no separate anomalous entity have been observed in either D region. And then SCP-2378 interior is quite susceptible to irritation via humans or one of the many anomalous entities that occupy its tissues. Normal irritation events are dubbed Class 1 event. During a Class 1 event, the structure will usually exhibit a number of responses. Sudden and violent shaking, which may amplify the irritation event by tearing/bursting some B regions. Excretion of unpleasantly odorous fluid from the exterior surface, often laced with high amounts of urea. Deployment of large quantities of 1, 2, and 3 instances into B regions. Contractions in A regions, inducing a flood of waste and incomplete digestion products through either exterior openings. Contractive expulsion of fluids from D regions through the top sphincter. Class 1 events also generate responses in the linked individuals, include the following: scratching, pulling, or biting of limbs and extremities in the detrimental manner, heightened perspiration, development of fever, swelling, and congestion, diarrhea, partially with blood depending on the severity of irritation, emesis and acid reflux. Pardon me. In rare instances, a Class 2 event may occur. Class 2 events have triggered by -3 and 4 instances of severe illnesses/physical trauma in the linked individual. These phenomena include the same signatory responses as a regular event, but also incur active -3 and 4 into A regions, irreparable damage to anatomical segments, and severe tissue damage/failure, as well as internal bleeding in linked subjects. It is currently not known how the expiration of a linked individual might impact the anomaly, though it is theorized that it may release the internal components of SCP-2378 into the surrounding area, including 3 and 4 instances. Since these instances are able to move outside of liquid as seen in the small number of Class 2 events to date, one could conclude that expiration of a linked subject would constitute a Magnitude 3 exposure event. Discovery. SCP-2378 was first discovered by the Foundation engineering team surveying a large portion of unoccupied, recently purchased land on July 5th, 1983 near Alabama. Foundation officials were seeking to establish a site dedicated to microbiological and pathogenic anomalies due to the lack of proper BSL 3 and 4 facilities. The site is now known as Site 234. Appropriation of local historical records indicate that the structure may have first emerged sometime following the San Francisco earthquake in 1906, when a small quake measuring at magnitude 3 on the Richter scale was detected in the surrounding area. Initial genetic testing revealed that all tissue components of the structure corresponded genomically with current Foundation employee Agent Sam. Agent had recently been diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. Seismic events and a number of severe irritation events over the course of the previous year prompted inquiry, based on suspicion by some higher-level Foundation staff at Site 234 that the anomaly was destabilizing. Exploration of -A regions at this time maintained congruence with this diagnosis, with large numbers of quickly dividing cells spreading about the segment walls and forming large atypical lumps. Agent underwent therapeutic surgery on July 3rd, 1997, followed by chemotherapy, resulting in 13 irritation events and a small-scale seismic quake. That is okay, it's only S alliteration, but still. Small-scale seismic quake inflicting worth of damage on the nearby town. Further exploration led to the discovery of attached anatomical structures as well as SB2431 and SB2946 as detailed in the previous sections. See exploration logs E1 through 4. On August 5th, 1997, SB2378 underwent its first observed transition period 3 months after genetic identification. 2 teams were within the structure during the transition, resulting in personnel becoming trapped in dense tissue and loss of GPS contact with personnel. And now we have show addendum to S-4. Addendum 2-4. -4 are manifestation of natural killer cells 1.5 meters in diameter. Cells primarily responsible for the innate immune response to virally infected cells. When MHC1 is down-regulated on cell surfaces and falls under a specific threshold, in example 3 MHCs within a certain distance that binds and inhibits NK cells through an inhibition receptor, NK cells will begin a signal cascade in the target cells towards program cell death, apoptosis. Direct physical interaction with any -4 iteration by human targets or normal SCP-2378 cells lacking requisite MHC1 receptors induces -4 primary, secondary, and tertiary functions. First, it will release a series of compounds which permeate the target regardless of protective equipment. Second, it will begin secreting large quantities of interferon Y, an antiviral cytokine which increases nearby cells' resistance to viral infection, while also inducing said cells to produce IFNY. Finally, -4 will begin secreting chemical markers which draw more -4 instances in addition to phagocytic 3-3 instances. -4 instances, primary and secondary responses, have a number of effects on human targets. For targets subject to primary response, subject immediately begin to feel ill, bloated, and swollen. Subject will swell rapidly, often tearing clothing and protective gear. Subject's explosive burst. subject pods rearranged and packaged into membranous sacs. Snacks. Then begin to resemble former cells components. Phagocytes consume subject's remains. For individual subjects to the secondary response, subject will begin feeling nauseous, woozy, and fatigued. Subject develop a fever and begin hallucinating. In the event that any member of an exploration team comes into contact with an instance of -4, non-target members are advised to immediately swim in the opposite direction of pulse current and exit to an A region. Exploration logs. The following supplementary document detail expedition into SB-2378. E1, access denied. E2, access denied. E3, access denied. And E4, access denied. There's a whole entire case system that's just basically a human body, a human organ body. Entire cave system that works like the internal human body. Organs, body regions, viruses, bacteria, and so much more. That was a long one though, eh? Let's go. Let's continue. I want to finish. I'm getting really tired.